What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Charles here, aka the Bearded Guru. So I was working with a client today, and they were wanting to have on their sales page. They wanted to whatever option that the user clicked on, as far as their product lineup that they had. They wanted to be able to pass that information over to the order form, so that it automatically selected the proper product in the product display. That would be this right here. Let me just so you can make sure you understand exactly what I'm talking about here. So when you get to the order form page, on this is just a generic sales page or order form page here. This will work for any order form, but in this particular option for the order form here, the products that are loaded within the product selector. So what he was wanting to happen was whatever option that they selected on this page would automatically select the product on this page, so that the user would just have to enter their information. They wouldn't have to select that specific product. And like I said, this will work on a regular order form that's not a two-step process. This directly selects the product selector radio button in either case here. So in order to do this, I actually revamped my affiliate ID submission JavaScript code, and if you are interested in figuring out how to add an affiliate ID to the contact record, you can click here down at the bottom, and that will take you over to that video. But you look at this code, and this looks kind of like, whoa, don't freak out. Most of this information is self-contained. You won't bother with any of this top information, because what this does here is that it'll actually grab, because what we're going to do is we're going to add a variable to the end of your, basically a parameter to the URL for your specific button here, and we're going to add a parameter to that URL, so that once you get taken to this page, this code will actually grab that parameter from the URL and select the proper input field, the radio button, based on that variable that's in the I keep calling it a variable, but the parameter that's in the URL. Now, this code here is obviously set up. Say if you had three different products, and this code here will be available to download in the description of the video here. This is going to be the bare bone code. This 000. What you're going to do is actually replace these 000s with the actual product ID for the specific product on the page. And the easiest way to get that information is if you go to your order form and go under products. Now, I have 3 test products set up here, one for $9.99, $19.99, and $29.99. Now, if you right click over edit and you copy link address, if you paste that link address, I would probably recommend creating a new text document file. That way you can keep all of this information separate. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. But what you'll do is you'll paste that link in there, and you'll see right here where it says products, and you'll see this particular product is 670717. So this is the product ID for this specific product here. And that's how you can get the rest of your product IDs, is by right clicking over edit, copy the link address, and bring it over here into your text document, and then paste in for the second one. And then you'll see now this is 670718, and then you grab for the third. You'll do this for every single one of your products, depending on how many you have set up. And like I said, this particular default code that I'm giving you for the JavaScript, this is actually, it's set up. This is set up for 3 products on the page. Now, let me space this out a little bit so that you can get a clear understanding of what's going on here. So what we have to do is actually set up a if statement, and what we're telling the system. Okay, so this code here is basically saying, it gives a you're creating a variable which is my product ID, and it's looking inside the URL for whatever value is passed to this parameter. Depending on what value is pulled out of the parameter, we're going to set instruction to set that particular radio button for that product. So once you get this information, once you get the actual product ID, what we're going to do is we're going to copy out of that first link here, and then we're going to go into the code. Actually, let me save this so I don't save over on top of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the code, and if my product ID equals 670717, remember that's our first product that we have here. If it equals that product ID, then we want to set the input name, purchase, product ID, and then the value. We're going to paste in that first product ID number that we got from that first link here, and it's going to tell it to basically set that radio button as checked. Now there is code in here, like I said, that's basically saying replace the 000s with your this will be your first product ID, so we'll replace that with the first product. And same thing here, we want to replace that 00000 with the first product ID number. Now here's where it kind of changes. Okay, if you only have 2 products, you're not going to use this. Well, if you only have 2 products, then let me try to best explain this. So the way an if-else statement works, right? So this first question is asked, if it's this product number, we want to run this code which will set that radio button clicked. Now, the else statement, basically the else statement is saying, well, in this case it's else if, because I have 3 different products. So what I wanted to do is have the system run through all 3 of my products and determine which one comes in the parameter that was set in the URL to choose that particular input field to select. Hopefully I'm not confusing you here. But what this does is, if the first one equals this product ID, then we're going to set this radio button. Else if the product ID equals the second, which will be the second product ID we copied from the URL that we got from the products. Else if it equals this number, then we want it to set this input field. And then lastly, else, regardless of whatever else it says, we want to set it to the third product ID number. So we grab that, we copy it, and then we're going to paste it over this set of numbers here. Now, to go over the code one more time. So we're basically adding a conditional statement that's asking the system if the URL parameter that is pulled out is equal to my first product number. We're going to set this input field, which is this the product ID radio button. We're going to set that to clicked, so it will set in the it will show as selected that first product radio button will show as selected on the order form. So that first product will be selected. Else, if the product ID equals my second product here, then I want the system to set the second radio button selected. And then lastly, if the product ID number that comes in doesn't equal either of these, then I want it to set this product here as selected. Now if you only have two, what you're going to do is you'll take up into where this else statement is, and you'll remove that information. So all you'll have here is if else. Now say you have four. Say you have four say you have four products that you want to add in here, right? So we'll put this back the way it was. So else if my product ID is equal to 670718, where is it at? There it is. ID. I'm just going to copy this code so you don't have to sit here and watch me retype all of this. Uh-oh, somebody's here. So we'll paste this in here and set that back to 8. Alright, so this puts the code right back to what it was before I removed this this second if statement. Now, so like I was saying, say if you had more than 3 elements on that page, then you will need to add if to that bottom else statement, and then we'll have to set up another check. So my product ID is equal to 670719. And then for that fourth product, we're going to do another an else statement at the end of that. So depending on how many products you have on your order form will determine how many of these else if statements that you need to have. The reason why we just use else at the end, because this is basically saying regardless of whatever else is found in that URL parameter, we're going to choose that last option. The else if statement is directly checking to verify that that next product ID that's in the parameter that doesn't match the previous conditional statements, it has to set that next that specific product in. But like I was saying, the else statement though is basically saying regardless of whatever else is found, if it doesn't match this ID, or this ID, then we're going to go ahead and select that last product. Now you could put conditional statements in here, or you can put a parameter in here to determine that very last product ID number, but this is kind of like a shorthand way of writing, because we don't need to add another check to verify what that last parameter is, because if it's not this one and it's not this one and it's not this one, it has to be the last one anyways. So then we would just go ahead and copy this line here and then paste that in and just change this bottom number, which in my case it would be 20 if I had 4 products on that page. to go ahead and select that last one. So depending on, like I said, depending on how many products you have on your order form, will determine how many else if statements you have and how many, and basically how many lines of code you have here. So hopefully that didn't confuse you. That's a little bit of programming tutorial here explaining what an if-else statement actually does. So basically an if-else statement puts in conditions saying check this, and if it's this, do that. If it's not, else if, check this statement to see if the value matches the parameter, and if it does, perform this action. If it doesn't, else if, check this parameter and perform this action. And if none of the other parameters match either of these, then we're just gonna set that last statement here. All right. So to see this in action, what we need to do, I'm gonna need to actually remove, need to go back to where I was, so I'm gonna remove all of this. And this was 19. So going back to the code that I had, like I said, your code will show the basic with just the 3 options, and you'll just need to go in and follow the comments here where it tells you to replace the ID numbers there. So we take this code here, take all of it all the way up, we're going to copy that, and then we're going to actually paste it on our order form inside the settings, the tracking codes, and we're going to paste it down here at the bottom. And then we'll save the page. Now we're going to go back to our squeeze page, and then what we need to add here for that specific button, we need to add that parameter to the end to match the product selector that we want to be selected on the next page. So if we go to this button, this first button, which is going to be my first product ID number, I'll copy that, and then as you see in this code here, what I've set that parameter to be is my underscore product underscore ID. So what we have to do, we take, this is the URL, this is basically the URL to the order form page, as you can see here. If I paste that in, this is the funnel step URL for the order form. Now what we want to add to the end of that is question mark my underscore product underscore ID equals, and then we take that first product ID number there, copy it, we paste it to the end there. So this is going to be the URL for that first button. So essentially this is going to tell the system, hey, when you go to this page, take this parameter here and then run it through my code to see which product or which button I chose, and then based on that button that I chose, select the radio button correlating to that specific product selection. So then we just grab this link here, we copy it, and then we paste that in the URL action for that specific button. So we paste that in, and then we go to the second product, and then our second product is going to be the 670718. So we'll copy that, we'll paste it there, and we'll grab that URL, and then we'll go back to our order form or our sales page here. We'll click on that button, and we're going to replace that information with our correct URL. And then lastly, we want to do the last for the very do this for the very last button here. So we're going to paste that ID number there, we're going to grab that URL, copy it, and then go back to our sales page here. And so for that last button, we're going to replace the information there with our new URL. All right, so with that being said, everything should be good to go here. So what I'm going to do is actually put this funnel in test mode. That way you can see it in action. All right, so now we're going to open this up in a new incognito window. Scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see here, when I select this button here, our URL parameter is added to the top. As you can see, my product underscore ID 670717. So now when I fill out this information, go to the next step. As you can see, my first product is selected, which that's by default. Now if we go back and we choose the second option here and go to step 2, of course it would. Hold on one second, let me figure out what happened there. Okay, I had a couple errors. I forgot to close this parentheses here, and I forgot to close this curly brace here. So now, you gotta love programming, because small little things like that could throw you off. Luckily, this code is not very detailed, so it's pretty easy to figure out where I messed up. But when you get into a lot of code, yeah, trying to figure out that one little punctuation mess up or something can be a very big pain. But anyways, so now if you notice, if I click on this button here and I go to the next step, you'll see now test product 2 has been already pre-selected for me as I'm going through the checkout process. Same thing with the last product here. If I go down and fill out my information and get to this next step, you'll see now test product 3 has been selected for me. And just to verify that the purchase does go through with that particular product, I'm going to copy the test credit card information here. I'm going to paste that in, and then we're going to complete the order. And this is our OTO page. We're not worried about that right now. So now what I want to do is go into the sales record just to prove that the $29.99, the test product 3, was the product that was purchased. All right, so everything looks good to go. Like I said, down in the description, you'll see the file for that is going to contain your contain the code here. The corrected code, of course, and you can download that and then just make adjustments to it as per this video explains, and then you can add that code to your page, and everything should be good to go. If you like this video, please hit that like button, please subscribe. Let me know that this stuff is helpful to you. There's also a link in the description to join my Facebook group, where you can ask any questions about any of the information that I pass through my YouTube channel or in Facebook. That way you can, if you have any questions that you need answered, you can come to me directly and ask, and I'll try to get to you as fast as I can. But yeah, so I appreciate you guys. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. Like I said, hit that like button if you enjoyed this information, and please subscribe if you're a new visitor. That way I know that you guys are enjoying the information I put out. All right, so once again, take care, guys.